Do you recommend to the listener, if they're about to launch a podcast, that they invest in some decent equipment? Like, for example, what I'm seeing on your side, you're in a room that has some of the walls that are treated. You're in the corner of the room. You have got a pretty good mic, like one of the best mics, a Shure SM7B. It's the same one that Michael Jackson recorded the song Thriller on. You got nice headphones that probably cost a couple $100 for one pair of headphones. And then your mics have mic stands and the boom stands, boom arms. And basically all of this stuff, the headphones, the microphone, the boom, and I guess you don't have the Rodecaster Pro. You mentioned a different brand, but for the interface system, that's another few $100, I'm sure. Do you recommend to the listener that they go all out and spend thousands of dollars when they decide to launch a podcast, or should they do it a different way?
I would take everything that you think you can afford to get and double it and get that. Because, man, not only do I have all this money in this stuff that we're currently using, but I've got a couple $100 worth of stuff in the closet that I can't use because it's not good. But as far as this room, man, I see you got a Rogue shirt on. This is my little CrossFit room. Just on the other side of these curtains, I've got all my equipment. This is actually a rock climbing wall that I built for the kids.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then, so man, I'm just trying to make the most of what we have. We got kicked out of the kitchen, is where we initially started doing this thing. And it just became too much work. You know, every time we wanted to do it, we had to set it up, tear it down. And but yeah, as far as equipment, go in with as much money as you possibly can and add to it and get the best stuff that you possibly can afford. And even with this Mixcast 4 that I'm using, it's very similar to what you have, but in hindsight, I wish I'd just went ahead and got the best interface that I could afford as well, but I didn't know. Now I'm kind of invested in this one and I'm going to keep it till it dies. But
did you buy a cloud lifter? And for the listener, real quick, a cloud lifter. Stephen mentioned this microphone. He was pointing at the Shure SM7B. The issue with the Shure SM7B is sometimes it doesn't have enough gain. And so it can come across a little bit quiet. And so the way people fix those is usually with a good interface. The Rodecaster should be enough. And maybe what you're using, Stephen, is enough. But other people, when they have that mic, they will also use a little contraption that goes with that connects through, I think, the XLR. It's called a cloud lifter, and it just boosts the signal. And so I'm just asking Stephen, does he use a cloud lifter, or is it good enough with his equipment?
With this interface, I think it can do up to 50 decibels on pre-gain. And I think with this, without a cloud lifter, I'm at 37. So it's sufficient in handling and pushing what it needs to get to it. But when I almost just ordered one just because everything I read said you need one. But you hit it right on the head. You know, with the right interface, you don't, but there's a lot of them you do.
So you would recommend to the listener to go all out. I'm not 100% sure if that's where I am. I think there's some equipment that is good enough and like pretty good, but I don't want the listener to mishear me. There's some equipment that you can get a pretty decent mic for like $70, a pretty decent mic with very little issues, with a good noise gate that works to be able to connect you into your computer by a USB instead of XLR. And that can be an affordable way to start and definitely do sound good. The problem is that I think one of the problems is that people get the wrong mics. Like the condenser mic that you mentioned comes with its own problems. It's just very echoey, reverb. You hear everything. You hear the dog barking. You definitely hear it when you or your girls touch the microphone or karate chop it.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are like, "Ooh, a $70 dynamic mic or $120 for a condenser mic. Ooh, I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go to this condenser mic," and it actually sounds worse. So I'm not sure if I'm all about like spend the most amount of money. I definitely think go to growyourshow.com/PDF and actually get some stuff that we vetted and is going to work. And then spend the one that you feel comfortable with is where I would say